Hey guys, another video about OpenClaw. Today I've been experimenting with OpenClaw. I already did some videos before. Today I learned how to plug in a particular model in the LM Studio and how to unplug it and plug in a different one. Learned about the really differences in the power of one model versus the other. It was quite amazing to see the big differences between the two. I will also share in this video the setup. I'm using the local LLM, so I'm not using paid versions. I really like to have a local environment. Really enjoy that myself, setting up everything and sharing everything as I'm learning myself. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you enjoy the video. For this demonstration, I'll be using the following setup. There's two different computers. One is a MacBook Pro, which is Intel based, which runs OpenClaw. That's the one on the left side. That one is connected through a LAN to another computer, which is also a MacBook, but that one is a silicon based computer, also a MacBook Pro. That one has 64 gigs of memory, and that one runs LM Studio. There's a third component, which is the Telegram client, which also, by the way, runs on the LM Studio, but that one connects through the internet using OpenClaw. So the machine on the left, that's the one that runs OpenClaw. I'm using, as you can see here on the screen, I'm using the latest version, which is the version 2026.2.21-2. That one runs on an Intel-based MacBook Pro, which is my old MacBook. And here you can see the specs. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's a 3.1 gigahertz i7. So the other computer I'm using is another MacBook, which is my latest one. It's one from 2023, so it's not the most up-to-date one, but it is quite powerful. It's an Apple M2 Max with 64 gigabytes of memory. The more memory you have, the faster the prompts can be processed. At the moment you want to run a local LLM on a Mac-based system, it's advised to use the LM Studio solution. So that's the application that provides the LLM to OpenClaw. And within LM Studio, you can see here, there can be multiple models that can be downloaded on your machine. There's tiny ones. For example, the one at the top is 2.2 gigabytes of data, which is of course still pretty big, but there's also way bigger ones. There's one here with them, which I'm using in this video, which is 17.2 gigabytes of space. And let me show you, if you go to the bottom section here of LM Studio, then you can query all the different models that you can download and use, depending on the license, of course. At the moment you're using a Mac-based system, especially the silicon-based machines, then I would recommend to use the filter, which you can see here at the top, and to filter only on models that are using the MLX format. These ones, the ones that are MLX specific, are optimized to run on a Mac. If you're using an Intel-based machine or some other device other than a Mac, especially a silicon-based Mac, then probably you can. It wouldn't matter if you're using a GGUF. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but the MLX are specific for silicon-based machines. Since I have a silicon-based machine, I use this filter, and let me put on the checkbox there. And here you can see, depending on other filter criteria that you have, the available models that you can download. There's all different kind of models. As I said, there's tiny ones, there's bigger ones, but also The models can vary based upon what they can do. For example, at the moment you hover over these icons, you can see that there's models. For example, the one with the green icons here. These green icons here represent, I think, brains. So these are like more like smart ones. They can reason. There's also ones that have a tool icon here. Those can be used for, yeah, they call it for to be used as a tool. There's also ones that have capabilities for vision, so they can process images. You can upload an image and ask a question about the image. I would expect there's also models out there that can process audio data, but I haven't seen those yet. As you can see, there's a huge amount of them, and there's also models that don't have any of these icons, probably for generic use. I don't know. I don't have that much experience yet with all the different models because there's so many out there you don't want to know. I today have been experimenting with 2 different models. So the next step would be, at the moment you make a decision depending on your needs, it would be the next step would be to download that specific model. It's very easy to do. You select the one that you want to download. Let's say this one. If it's not yet downloaded, you will see an option here, the button that says download. It shows the specific number of bytes. And at the moment you push the button, let me show you how that works. It starts downloading, and also here on the top right, you can see that it's currently being downloaded. I don't want to have this specific one at this moment in time, so I will cancel the download. But at the top, you have the icon that shows all the ones that are already downloaded and the ones that are being downloaded at this moment in time. I will clear the items. At the moment you have the ones downloaded, they will show up in the icon here. That's the 3rd section. These are the models available on the system. The one I'm using in this demo, for this demonstration, where this video is about, is the one which is called V3, or, well, it says V3 here. It's actually called V4 Mini Instruct. So this is the very simple model. It's only 2.2 gigabytes. As you will see in the video further on, this is a very dumb, it's a very stupid model. It cannot do anything. It's basically useless. I don't know why they put it in here, but it's a model, and I thought let's pick the most simple one out there, or at least one of the most simple ones I was able to find, which was this one. It will be very fast because it's very tiny. But yeah, as I just said, the tinier the model, the less smart the model will be. I also downloaded in this video a bigger one. It's the Gwen 3 MOE. It's the Gwen 3, and you can see all the models have all kinds of abbreviations. Each name is split up into various sections divided by a dash. Quite often the phrase of MLX will be part of this name. It doesn't have to be, because they can pick any name, but MLX means it's optimized for the silicon Macs. There's A3B. If I'm correct, this refers to the number of parameters. Oh, that's the one here. It's 30B. That means that there's 30 billion parameters. And A3B, probably that relates to how it's optimized. And Gwen 3 refers, I believe, to the company, most likely, that created the model. This one is, it's called how it's quantized. It's 4 bits. There's also 8 bits. So the more bits means that the model will be more powerful and smarter, but it will be also more heavy to run a query or prompt through this model. So depending on the speed of your machine, and depending on the number of gigabytes of memory you have to pick a model that suits your needs. Once a model, an LLM, is fully downloaded, you can load the model into the memory and make it available for OpenClaw. So we go to the second tab here. So there's the first tab for allowing you to do chats. The second one allows you to load a particular model into the memory. As you can see here on the screen, I already have a particular model loaded, which is the Qwen 3 model. You can eject it if you don't like, if you no longer want to put this one into memory. So the entire file of 70.19 gigabytes is fully loaded into the memory of this machine. Of course, loading it takes a while, but at the moment it's loaded, you can execute queries on it or prompts. You can load additional models. So let me show you here how that works. You click on load model, and the tiny one, let me load that one next to the one that you see in the back. The tiny one I'm loading will be the V4 one, which I also downloaded. So let me click on it. You can see right now I'm loading that additional model. This takes a while, and at the moment it's finished. Yeah, there we go. At the moment it's finished. Now we have two models that are available that can be executed next to one another at the same time from this machine. At the moment you want to release some of the memory, you just push the eject button. There it goes. All the memory that was consumed by the other model has now been released. So at the moment we see this screen, we can see we have the tiny model in place. All the models can be loaded, so all the ones that we downloaded can be accessed by some external program, for example OpenClaw. At the moment they are downloaded, and that's also a nice thing. Let me show you here how that works. You can see this particular LM Studio right now exposes all the available models to, in this case, the LAM. That's because the server is running. That's the icon you see here. At the moment you load a model into LM Studio, there's a specific boundary that you need to configure, which is the context length. The context length determines the amount of information you can provide at the moment you ask a prompt. So the prompt is basically asking a question and providing all the relevant information that is needed to answer that question. Let's go and take a look at a very simple example. At the moment we see this image, there's 4 characters. There's Ben. Ben has a brother whose name is John. John is married to Whitney, and John and Whitney have a little boy whose name is Peter, and Peter is wearing a blue tie. If I would show you this image and I would ask what is the name of the uncle of Peter, you would need to have all that information that I just provided to come up with the word Ben. And the more information, the more related information that is needed, the bigger the context length should be. And the way LM Studio is set up, you need to specify the total length of information you can provide to that model at the moment it's being loaded. So if you want to have very short, limited questions, then you can have a very small context length. In this case, 4096 would be relatively small. But at the moment you're using OpenClaw, then OpenClaw will add a huge amount of additional information next to the prompts that you provide to it. For example, parts of the prompt which will be injected. You don't even see that information, but it will be injected by OpenClaw, is for example the soul, as it's called, on how the agent will react. Let me give you an example of a soul file. just so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. If you open up the particular folder of OpenClaw on your OpenClaw machine, you can see the workspace, as it's called. That's a folder within OpenClaw, contains a file which is called sol.md. It's a so-called markdown file. It's just a plain text file basically. If I open it with TextEdit, you can see this file contains all kinds of things like boundaries. For example, private things, stay private, period. When in doubt, ask before acting externally. There's all kinds of information on how the system should answer or handle a particular prompt. So at the moment you ask the OpenClaw system, I don't know, to open up a particular file or to edit a file or to do some things, it will not just fire that specific command to the LM Studio, but it will also take into consideration the information which is defined in the sol.md file. There's way more information. It's not just the sol. There's also information about the identity, about the agents themselves. There's information about bootstrapping and a heartbeat. All kinds of information is added to the prompt that you provide. Also, previous prompts can be part of that inclusion. So at the moment you ask one question in a prompt, it could mean that thousands of tokens, as they are called, thousands of pieces of information can also be included into the prompt that is being delegated to that LM Studio. For example, the way how you want the, let's say, the soul. What should be the attitude, let's say, of the agent? Should he be happy? Should he be grumpy? All that information is also part of the prompt. So the more information you have, the more related information you want to be able to take into consideration at the moment you answer a prompt, the bigger the context length should be. In this case, this model supports up to 131,072 tokens. In general, it's good to have a big context length, but of course that also will mean the processing of each request will be slower. So you, as a person who runs an LM Studio, will have to find a number. You will have to pick a number which matches your needs, and you just have to play around with it. But generally speaking, if your computer is fast enough, you have enough memory, then pick the highest number that the model is capable of. So in this case, you can simply click on this high number here. The system will override the value for the context length, and it will demand here that you need to reload this model, because at the moment you change things for the context length which it can process, it will have to reload the information. So let's push the reload to apply changes. It will reload the model, and once it's finished, it can process, in this case, 131,072 tokens for each request. Alright, that means that the right side, which is the computer on the right side, which says LM Studio, that part is completely set up and up and running. We can use it. The next part would be to focus on how to configure in OpenClaw that you want to connect to that specific model in LM Studio with that specific context length.
See you at part 2!